The crystalline halls of the Valthoran royal palace echoed with a sound that had not ceased for 72 standard hours. The piercing wail of Prince Karen, heir to the emerald throne of Valthor Prime. Doctors from 14 different star systems stood helplessly around the royal nursery, their instruments humming with diagnostic energy, their faces, varied as they were across species, all sharing the same expression of frustrated defeat. The Curex physician, her forearms gesturing in complex patterns of medical analysis, shook her elongated head. "His vitals are perfect, Your Majesty. There is nothing physically wrong with the prince." Queen Sharava, her iridescent scales dulled, with exhaustion held her infant son close to her chest. The tiny prince's cries could shatter glass, literally. 3 viewing panels had already been replaced. His lung capacity was remarkable for a newborn, the doctors had noted, a testament to his royal bloodline. But right now, it was a curse that was slowly driving the entire palace staff toward madness. "Then why?" the queen whispered, her voice hoarse. "Why won't he stop?" The medical team had no answers. They had tried everything: temperature adjustments, light spectrum modifications, gravitational field alterations, pheromone therapies from 6 different worlds. Nothing worked. Prince Karen continued to scream as if the universe itself had wronged him. On the lower levels of the palace, Eli Grant pushed his cleaning cart through the servants' corridor, humming softly to himself. He'd been working as a janitor in the Valthoran palace for 3 months now, one of only a handful of humans employed in the royal household. It was good work, honest work, and the pay helped him send credits back to his sister on Earth. The tune he hummed was an old one, something his grandmother used to sing when he was small. He didn't remember all the words anymore, just the melody, simple, gentle, repetitive. It helped pass the time during his night shifts when the palace was supposed to be quiet. Supposed to be. Even down here he could hear the infant's cries filtering through the ventilation systems. Poor kid, he thought, and poor parents. He'd heard the whispers among the staff, 72 hours without sleep for the queen, the king pacing the throne room like a caged animal, doctors arriving and departing in waves. Eli continued his work, mopping the floors of the main corridor that ran beneath the royal quarters. His humming grew slightly louder, the melody weaving through the sterile air. It was a lullaby, really, though he'd never thought of it that way. Just a tune. Just a comfort. Above him in the royal nursery, Queen Sharava had finally surrendered her son to the king. Her strength was gone. Tears streamed down her face as the medical team suggested once again that perhaps a sedative. And then, impossibly, the crying stopped. The silence was so sudden, so complete that everyone froze. Prince Karen's mouth remained open, his tiny chest heaving from exertion, but no sound emerged. His large, dark eyes, so much like his mother's, had gone wide and alert. "What?" the Curex doctor began. "Shh," the queen hissed, hardly daring to breathe. The prince's head turned as much as a newborn could manage such a movement toward the ventilation grate in the wall. His small, 3-fingered hand reached out, grasping at the air, and then, to everyone's amazement, he cooed. A soft, contented sound. "The ventilation system," King Vorash said, his deep voice barely above a whisper. "There's something in the ventilation system." The head of palace security immediately began scanning for threats, biological contaminants, sonic weapons, pheromone attacks, but the prince wasn't showing signs of distress. Quite the opposite. He was peaceful. "Listen," the queen said. Through the grate, faint but clear, came a sound, humming. A simple, meandering melody. Human in origin, the cultural database would later confirm. A lullaby. "Find whoever is making that sound," the king commanded. "Now, but do not, I repeat, do not, make them stop." The guards moved with unprecedented caution, tracing the source of the humming through the palace's lower levels. They found Eli Grant in Corridor 7 Beta, completely oblivious to the commotion he'd caused, mopping the floor and humming his grandmother's lullaby. "You," the guard captain said, her translator rendering her words in flat English. "Human, you must come with us immediately." Eli's heart sank. This was it. He'd done something wrong, violated some protocol he didn't know about. He was going to lose his job, maybe worse. "Sir, ma'am, I mean officer, I'm sorry, whatever I did." "You did nothing wrong," the captain said, though her expression suggested she didn't quite believe her own words. "But you must come with us, and you must." She paused, consulting her communicator. "Continue making that noise." "The humming?" "Yes, the humming. Do not stop." Eli was escorted through the palace, up grand staircases and through corridors he'd never seen, all while maintaining his nervous humming. Servants and officials alike stopped to stare. Some raised their communication devices, recording the bizarre procession. When they reached the royal nursery, Eli's humming faltered at the sight of the queen, the king, and what appeared to be half the planet's medical establishment all staring at him with expressions ranging from desperate hope to scientific fascination. "Please," Queen Sharava said, speaking English with a thick accent, not bothering with a translator. "Please continue." Eli, understanding nothing but the plea in her eyes, resumed his humming. The effect was immediate. Prince Karen, who had begun to fuss the moment Eli's voice had faded, settled once more. His eyes locked onto Eli's face with an intensity that seemed impossible for an infant. The Curex doctor scanned furiously, her instruments painting the air with holographic data. Fascinating. The frequency patterns, the rhythmic consistency, it's triggering a parasympathetic response. But why? Human vocalizations shouldn't have any special significance to Valthoran physiology. "Perhaps," the king said slowly. "It is not about physiology." The hours that followed were surreal. Eli was given a chair, in the royal nursery, and asked to continue humming. When his voice grew tired, he was brought water, exotic fruits from a dozen worlds, and nutrient supplements. When he apologized for needing to rest his voice, a recording was made. But it didn't work. Prince Karen could somehow tell the difference, and would only calm for the living, breathing human. As the palace's night cycle deepened, Eli found himself sitting beside the prince's crib, humming softly while the exhausted queen finally slept on a nearby divan. The king stood at the window, gazing out at the triple moons of Valthor Prime. "On your world," the king said quietly, not turning around, "you sing to your children?" "Yes, your majesty," Eli replied, his voice rough from hours of humming. It's just something we do. Has been for thousands of years, probably." "We do not," the king said. "The Valthoran are born aware, alert. We speak to them of duty and honor from their first moments. We prepare them for the responsibilities they will bear." He turned, and Eli was struck by the weariness in his alien features. "Perhaps we have forgotten something important." By morning, Prince Karen had slept for 6 straight hours, his first rest since birth. The queen wept with relief. The doctors muttered about publishing papers, and Eli Grant, humble janitor from Earth, was offered a new position. Royal companion. To the prince with a salary that made his head spin. He accepted on one condition: he could still send credits home to his sister. As news of the incident spread through the palace and eventually across Valthor Prime, a shift began. Human musicians were consulted. Lullabies were added to the cultural database. And in nurseries across the capital city, parents began to hum to their children, simple, gentle melodies that spoke of comfort and safety. The Valthoran, masters of 1,000 star systems, conquerors of quantum physics and genetic engineering, learned something new from the humans they had once considered primitive. Sometimes the most powerful medicine isn't found in technology or knowledge. Sometimes it's just a song. And in the royal nursery, as Prince Karen grew from infant to child, he would always pause when he heard Eli humming, that same simple tune, and remember the first piece he'd ever known. A gift from a janitor. A gift from humanity. A gift that would shape an empire.